Hi guys, as I am a real world trainee pilot, but none of this can be used for real life. It is just an extra content for those people who want to start their flying training and want to know what they can be expecting while doing their flying training.
Hey guys, hopefully you guys are well. We are here back again. Three things they gave me from my academy for the safety briefing, emergency brief, what are you gonna do if the engine fails, and the normal checklist for the Cessna 152 so that I can memorize it by heart. I will show you guys how all the things and the procedures will be followed up while doing the circuit stuff. Cool, let's do this. Here we are in one of my favorite simulators, Microsoft Flight Simulator. There are hundreds of options there to do and play with. I will not gonna go through all of them because it's gonna take it a long time to explain you guys everything, whatever we have here in the simulation. Go to my airfield, which is just there, and I will gonna do a cold and dark, so I will select a gate from here to the daytime. Probably morning 10 o'clock will do. It's not morning 10 o'clock in the at that time in New Zealand. Time here is 10 o'clock at night time. Here we go. Okay, we selected the gate. Fly. That looks so real. So here we are in our Cessna 152, the aircraft that I fly for my training. Let's jump into it. So first thing first, what we have to do is we have to go through the pre-flight inspection of the aircraft, where we actually check the fuel of the aircraft. As you can see on the top of these, we can dip the dipstick into that and check the fuel of the aircraft, and we can do a physical check. Uh, there is no damage of the on the aircraft, and check the lights and stuff like that. So I'll show you what I'll usually do. I'll just jump into the cockpit and turn on all the masters and all the lights, and flaps down. And I'll quickly go out there and check if the light is working. So yep, it's working. And the top beacon light is working, nav light is working, and yep, that's working, and the front landing light is actually working too, as you guys can see that from here. Here we go. So everything is all good, and we can just go and shut down everything because it's gonna drain our battery. Well, just leave the flaps down. Everything's closed, everything is off. Good stuff. Okay, let's start going through some of the checklists, some of the checks that I usually do. Pre-flight inspection completed. That is not a real world thing, but this is what I usually do. So pre-flight inspection completed. Seat and harnesses, that's the seat belts that should be locked and secure. I don't know where the seat belts are. Funny. Though, let's do this. Seatbelt and harnesses, all brakes. The brakes are just there. So the brakes are on. Electronic equipments are all off. Fuel shutter valve is just, this one is the fuel valve that actually puts the fuel straight away into the engine. So what I was saying you guys about the fuel selector is just there. It is a very important one because one of the incident was happened in my academy just 2 weeks ago, that one of the student he texted from the club area to the runway for takeoff, and he didn't actually turn it on. I don't know how the engine started, and some of the fuel was in engine already before the flight, already before starting it up, and he taxied from the club area to runway 19er with the fuel valve off, and then he realized that oh, that was a big mistake. He can actually be into big trouble. He can go to his engine failure while taking off, and any point 100 feet or 200 feet, because there's not going to be that much fuel that can take him straight away to climb at some certain altitude to do an emergency landing. He will not going to be have that much time, so it is very important. And that was actually a real story that it's not a story, it's a real thing that actually told one of my instructor told me about. Good stuff. Let's do this again. I talk too much though. Okay. Fuel shuttle valve that is on, as you can see here. It says a fuel 2.5 gallons and off is straight up and on the left hand side. So good stuff. On the left hand side and the fuel shuttle valve on, electronic equipment's all off. Mixtures, that's the mixture. Once you're gonna go to the aircraft, the mixture is just like that. So that's a mixture of the aircraft. Okay. So it should be full rich. It should be full rich. And then we have to turn on the batteries. Batteries are just there. See, everything is popping up now, and beacon light is on because we are starting it up. I don't know where the beacon light is. Fucking hell. Okay, there we go. Beacon light. Beacon light is on, and now we are good to start our engines. If the aircraft is, you are the first person who is flying in the morning, so you probably need some of the primer to pump some of the fuel from the tanks to the engine. So that's a primer, and they should be locked before the flight. And throttle, you have to move 1.5 inches, and then you have to rotate the key to the right on a both, and we got a good engine start. We have, and the checklist says after start checklist, throttle 1200 rpm, which is just there. That's the RPM needle. Oil pressure is here. Should be green and stable, which is actually right now, and rising as well. Radios. We got a different kind of radio in actually real life in my aircraft that I usually fly, the Cessna 152, but this kind of old one. That's fine. We'll sort it out. We will be okay with that though. Radios are on. Switch it on to here on, and transponder is just right there. So code should be for the VFR flights 1200 is the code for the VFR flights. It should be like that. Every aircraft have their own codes, but usually the VFR flights they have the 1200 transponder code, and code is 1200 test and standby. We have to put that on standby mode. And then after the checklist says, so I have the electronic one, so we have to match that. So these two things are matching. That's the CD, that's the DI, and that's the compass that we have, the aircraft one. Then what we have to do is check the altimeters. Altimeter is just there. The elevation of the airport where I usually fly in my aerodrome is 64 feet. Elevation of the airport, that elevation, how you can get that number. So you can get that number on every airport have their own elevation, and it is mentioned in all the Japanese charts. If you go through the charts, you can see that the aerodrome charts or the airport charts, they have their own elevation. So in this case, my airport is at 64 feet. Every airport have their own elevation, that before you can fly, you can actually have to go through the charts, the Japanese charts or whatever the charts your airport, your aerodrome is using, to make sure that you guys tune in the right altimeter. It is very important. And cool stuff. Let's do it again. So throttle 1200 rpm, it's all set. Temperature and pressure is green and stable. Test volume check, and the transponder code 1200 set. Test standby, it's already are, and altimeters set. QNH 64. Put a little bit of power into the aircraft engine, get some fuel in. Here we are. During the taxiing, what we have to do is before leaving that area where I do my flight training is a uncontrolled airspace. There are two type of airspace, that controlled airspace and uncontrolled airspace. In an uncontrolled airspace, we have to announce our position, whom you're talking to, who you are, what's your location, what's your intentions, and other relevant information for the other aircraft. So in that case, the airport, the ground, which is the Hastings traffic, The call sign is Foxtrot Whiskey Kilo. That's my aircraft. Your location, we are at club area. Intentions, what we're gonna do. We are taxiing for holding point runway 19er, and any other relevant information if you want to. It will start with Hastings traffic, Foxtrot Whiskey Kilo at club area, taxiing to holding point runway 19er seal. So there are two runways in my academy, which is one of them is grass one and another one is the concrete one. So they say it's seal. So if we are taking off from grass runway, so we have to add it up grass as the extra informations for the other aircrafts that what we are doing. This is how it follows in the uncontrolled airspace or uncontrolled tower airport. Let's start our taxi. Here we are again, taxiing for the holding point runway 19er. It's actually not a 19er. My bad. That one is 01. And it is actually real. My airfield, my academy don't have the taxiways. They fly. They actually taxi through the grass towards the runway. Let's have a look. Fucking hell. So much big turbulence at the back. Okay, let's stop it here. We are actually on the grass runway. This is a grass runway, actually. Okay, hold on, my friend. Where are you going? So this is actually grass runway here. 01 seal is that one, and 01 grass is. Let's jump into it and do the run-up check, which is we always do. We have to always position our aircraft's nose in the wind's direction. In that case, winds are coming from the left side, so we can put. I don't know why they do that. I will always forget to ask my instructors why we do that. Why we always point our aircraft nose while doing the run-up check, the direction where the winds are coming from. Park brake is on. Throttle to 1200 RPM. Put it in a little bit more. Max check. Temperature and pressure is these ones is in green and stable. Throttle to 1700 RPM. Here we are, and holding brakes. I'll explain you guys later about the brakes and stuff like that. Here, temperature and pressure is in green and stable. Emitter is just that guy. So that's the emitter. So that actually connects with the alternator. If we are getting all the power to our electronic equipment from the battery, it will show you in negative. That means our battery is getting discharged. That means our alternator is not working. This is why we are doing a run-up check to check that the alternator is working. So this is in a check as well. So altimeters, that is the lights. We have to put the lights on. As you guys can see here, I will put the lights on, and it's still at the positive side. So if I turn it out all the lights, it still says that in a positive. So our alternator is working, that at some point it's gonna come down at 0. But if it's in at 0 or in negative, you have to do a check. That means our alternator is not working with that RPM. If it's still showing in the negative, that means the power that we are getting is not from the engine, it's getting from the batteries. Okay, I'll show you guys what I mean. If I turn off the engines, cut off the throttle, fuel, we have all the lights in, everything is working. It's gonna start. See that the needle is going to in the negative. That means, and we got the light as well on, the red one. That means the alternator is not working right now because the engines are off. And all the batteries, all the power that we are getting to the electronic equipment is from the battery that's discharging the emitter. This is the meter that is showing. If I can just turn off the lights, and it will start to go back to 0. But in the real time, it will not going to be 0 because anyhow the battery is discharging if the masters are on from here. Still we are in negative, but this you guys got the point, right? Why we check in the run-up check the altimeter. So we just turn on we don't do that in a real time, turning off the engines. And I usually like to turn on all the lights and fuel in. There we go. Started back again to 1700 RPM in a positive. All good. Altimeter lights. is off. That means our alternator is working, and then we can do the max drop check to check that our carb heat is working correctly. Okay, there is a big topic on carb heat as well. When to cold, when to turn on the carb heat, and when to turn off the carb heat. I know that it is a big topic, but I'll try to explain you guys. Whenever you're flying at a low power settings, your carb heat should go on. That actually prevents the engine from icing, and icing is very dangerous while you're flying. Icing is very bad news for any aircraft. So this thing, what it do is it actually helps the engine to remove all the icing. Whenever we're flying the aircraft on a low power setting, this guy should always go on. If you guys put that on and you're using it on full power, at some point on the flight, make some holes in your carburetor. It will gonna burn your engine. The whole engine can turn into a fireball. Any icing in the engine, it can remove that. And once you're using that for the full power, turn it off. Back again to a run up check. Okay, carb heat is working or not, so we can put that back on 1700 rpm, and what we're gonna see here is a drop in rpm. So if I turn it on, the rpm drops. That means a carb heat is working, and we can put that in, and it goes back again. And we can do the same as with we can put that on left, drop in rpm, right, on both, right, drop in rpm, on both. Absolutely fantastic. Everything is working perfect. Now what we're gonna do is just the checklist says back to 1200 rpm. The run up check is done. We probably used a lot of fuel while doing that, but it's just a simulation, not a real life, so no need to worry about that. Now, pre-takeoff checks. What we have to do in the pre-takeoff checks: it's throttle 1200 rpm. It's already set. Trim set for takeoff. It's that guy here. I'll show you that. So that's a trim of the aircraft. So set for takeoff. Mixture full rich, and the story that I was talking about is that guy. So that should be, you have to check that should be on before taking off. So that's why it's in a pre-takeoff checklist as well. Fuel log on. Flaps, that's the flap that we need today. We are doing a flap 15 takeoff. And then we can check the ignition should be on both while taking off, not on left, not on both, should be on both. I was gonna ask my instructor as well why they put that on both as well. There are so many questions. Wow, why they do that? Don't ask me. I never ask them why they do that, but I will. That question is just popped up in my mind now, so I was gonna ask it to my instructor. Sorry guys, I am not a professional pilot, but I am studying aviation stuff and aircraft stuff from past 6 years. So there are still so many things that I don't know, but I'm always giving my best to learn new things when it comes to aviation, and I always give my best. But I will ask my instructor what that thing to do on both. But if you guys know, whoever's watching my video, just leave a comment down and let me know why you guys do that on both. Okay, and then flaps 15 check. Instruments should be checked. So we're gonna start from here to the bottom and all the way over there. Seat and harnesses, again we're gonna check that everything is locked and secured while doing the takeoff. Controls, so we're gonna check the controls as well. Full left, so it will go full left, full right, it's full left, full right, and then full up, full down, and then neutral. So our control is working absolutely fine. Just hide that one so that you guys can see what's going on here. Lights as required. I usually like to turn on all the lights while flying because it can increase the visibility, and what we are flying is in the VFR, it's very important so the other aircrafts can see you as well, where you are, your location. So I like to be always turn on all the lights, as it's not required, but I all like to put the lights on all the time. So pre-takeoff check is also done. Now what we're gonna do is taxi to runway 19 for takeoff. And what we have to do is we have to announce our position again, what we are doing. So Hastings traffic, Foxtrot Whiskey Kilo, lining up runway 19 for departure. Heavy up, lining up runway 19. My turn coordinator. If you guys don't know how I'm turning the aircraft, so um, I am using the Logitech Extreme 3D joystick, and I actually got some rudder pedals as well that I haven't connected yet because it's very cold out there and I'm sitting in my blanket right now. Before I will go forward, I will let you guys know about the rudder pedals. These stuff, left and right, they help. If you want to go left, you have to press left on the rudders, and if you're gonna go right, you have to press that pedal to the right. And if you want to apply the brakes, you have to push them from the top harder to apply brakes, like this. These are the brakes, right? These are the brakes. Okay, cool stuff. Jump back again to our normal position. We're gonna do the lineup check now. Hastings traffic, Foxtrot Whiskey Kilo, departing runway 19, remain in circuit pattern. Lineup check, transponder to standby to alt. Compass IDs, let's check that. Still showing it wrong, doesn't matching that stuff with that. That's all good. Still, it's matching a little bit of it. It's all good. And runway clear for takeoff. Now we are clear for takeoff. Let's do this. Brakes are off. Throttle 50%. I'm off to the runway for some reason. I don't know why. I like that position too. Full power. Let's do this. .55 knots. Rotate. Oh, I skipped one of the part, which is emergency briefing and the performance briefing. I will talk about that next video though. So trim, set the trim. Set the trim is perfectly not perfect, but yeah, it's somehow it's gonna help us. So passing 300 feet, flaps goes up, clear the obstacles, flaps up, and we can check the temperature and pressure should be in green and stable. So I'm showing you guys now just the circuit, and should be at 67 knots while climbing to flight level 1100 feet, and we can turn it to the left now, sorry, to the right, my bad. So if you guys don't know what I'm doing, you probably guys have to go back to my last video to check it out what I am doing. So 1100 feet, and we are gonna level off at 1100 feet, and hopefully we are flying at trim the aircraft a little bit. So as we are 90 degrees from the runway, and that's a reference point, so we're gonna turn it there. Take a right turn. I was just about to say left. That's a turn coordinator that shows 30 degrees of turn from here. This is what we usually do, and once we are opposite to the runway headings, and as you guys can see, we travel too far from the distance, but it should be the runway length should be, I'll pause that now. So the runway length should be parallel to your aircraft and should be crossing your studs. Okay, what we have to do now, we have to follow at 1000, we have to fly at 1100 feet and at 2300 rpm, and we have to do a check first, which is the brakes are off, primer locked, mixtures full rich, fuel pumps on, undercarriage that's fixed, landing gear, so no need to worry about that, and seat and harnesses locked and secured, and then just have to do a radio call. Hastings traffic, Foxtrot Whiskey Kilo, downwind for runway 19 a seal, full stop. I will go and make a full stop landing this one, and I will, yep. And as we are going closer to the runway here, and here we go. So once we are 30 degrees from the runway from where we're gonna land, we're gonna start doing our landing checks, which is gonna be, show you guys in a second. So everything's going good, and I think we are 30 degrees now with the runway. So I actually lose altitude, but we should be at 1,100 feet at the time before starting a turn to the base. As we getting slow speed, increase the speed. Doesn't matter, but should be, you guys got the point, right? So, and we are actually past 30 degrees. I was supposed to do it before, but I'll do it now. And then we can turn on the carb. As you guys know that I told you about the carb, that once while we are flying on low power settings, that thing should be goes on, and we put that on, and throttle to, we usually put the throttle to 1700 rpm, and then wait for the speed to go lower than 80 knots, and then we can put the flaps, first stage of flap, which is 15 degrees, and make a turn towards the runway, towards the base leg. And as our speed is decreasing, we have to maintain at 70 knots. And the cool thing about this simulator is everything looks the same. This is what I see in a real life, and it looks the same as well in the simulator. It's very brilliant piece of work that the developers done that in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. And then once, okay, cool, we are actually very low. The approach will be a little bit shallower, and we have to wait till we can see the runway and we can turn to our final. Cool. Maintaining 60 knots, and I think take the turn now towards the right for final. Oh, look at that. I never made that best turn in the whole simulation all the time that I was doing my practices. We are a little bit low at profile, but I will climb a little bit higher. And once we are on our final, we can put the full flaps in and do a radio call. Hastings traffic, Foxtrot Whiskey Kilo on final runway 19 seal, full stop. Radio is done. As we're getting low in power, we have to put a little bit more power. What they do, so what they say is, if you need to increase the speed, you have to lower the nose, just like that, so our speed is increased. And if you wanna climb at some certain height, you don't have to push the nose up, because it's going to decrease the speed. What you have to do is you have to put the throttle in, and it will gonna increase your speed and your height as well. So we are at approach. I shouldn't be doing that, but that's fine. I'll just a demo for you guys, so you guys got the point right. And here we are on final. We are still at very slow. We should be at 60 knots while on final. We already give the call. Everything is done, and here we are landing it up. So while landing, these numbers from the windshield, they should not be moving up and down. They should be stays the same here. So this is the general rule of, this is a general rule of thumb that all the instructors follow up, that they always show me your speed, runway numbers, speed, runway numbers, speed, runway numbers, speed, runway numbers. That's it. This is what you're gonna do while landing. And here we go. Just trim it a little bit forward and maintaining a good 60 knots. Actually, a little bit higher though. Decrease the power. We are too high on profile, but still we can make it. See, the numbers not going up and down. They're still same, stays the same. Speed 60 knots, numbers 60 knots, numbers. And once we are close to the runway, we gonna flare. Close the throttle, cut off the throttle, and maintain it to a little bit of left rudder, and here we go. Not a good landing, but still we are on the ground in one piece. The aircrafts are very hard to control in the simulator, especially the smaller ones, the Cessnas and the VFR aircrafts, and cool stuff. So we are on the ground in one piece, and what we're gonna do is now we can leave the runway for the other aircrafts to land in. We can check there is no traffic landing anywhere, and we can put the flaps up, copy it off. That guy is still here. Okay, everything is done. That was the circuit introduction that I just show you guys, and how we can shut down the aircraft. Actually, it's not that simple. In the real life, what we do is park brake on, and we can check the max again. Left, both, right, both, and then pull off the mixture so the fuel's cut off. Done. And then we have to put that on off and take off the key. Easy as. Circuit introduction is done. Hope you guys enjoy this video and got some extra content about the circuit introduction. I already covered that, the basics theories, in the last video. That's the practical that I'll show you guys. If still have any questions, please leave a comment. I will get back to you guys and try to reply you. Thanks for watching that, and I'll see you on next video, which is gonna be the circuit consideration. Thank you for that.